YouTube and welcome to another GV anime review, here with another spring review. Today I am reviewing the most chill anime we got in the past season, Flying Witch. At the start of the season I wasn't really sure if I was going to watch this series, but because of the studio behind it being GC stuff, I eventually followed it. And that was a very good decision. Flying Witch takes place in a world where supernatural elements like witches are as normal as the sun going up. Here we meet a young witch by the name of Makoto Kowata, who just moved to a small village to live with some relatives and train her upcoming witch skills. And in this peaceful village we follow Makoto and her relatives in their daily lives. By far the best thing about Flying Witch was the calm atmosphere of this anime. This was the perfect anime to end my Saturday evening with, after watching Gaku Sentoshi Asterisk, which was action based, and Mayoiga, which was mystery based. Flying Witch was a welcome change and a very good counterweight for the more intense anime that I watched the past season on the same day. A big contributor to the overall relaxing atmosphere of Flying Witch was the artwork. Not necessarily the animation itself, but the background artwork. I loved the artwork. I already loved it when I saw the trailer for Flying Witch long before the actual start of the anime. And also the design of the characters played perfectly into this atmosphere. There's nothing flashy in this anime. I had the same thoughts when I watched Haito Genzo no Grimgar. Also in that anime, the animation and the artwork was very calm and serene, and also there it created this very calm atmosphere. There it was to elevate the sad storyline, and here in Flying Witch it was to elevate the overall meaning of the anime. And they did that very well. Now, not only the character design was very well done, but also the characters themselves. We had a wide variety of characters in this anime, and each and every one of them was likable. From our main protagonists Makoto and Chinatsu to minor characters like Akane and Nana. Each of them had their fun and quirky personality. For a lot of Flying Witch watchers, the favorite character was Chinatsu, and she was indeed a very likable character. Her enthusiastic personality, her curiosity and her spontaneity all contributed in making her a very likable child character. But my favorite character in this anime was Chito, Makoto's cat. I don't really know why, but I loved Chito. Maybe it's because I have two cats myself and I recognized a lot of them in Chito. But something else that this anime did very well with Chito was that they had to create his entire personality without speech. Chito can meow, but he can't speak, and therefore it's way more difficult to create his personality. But GC did that very well through his movements, through his facial expressions, and through the way he reacted to certain scenes. Therefore, the episode where Chito stands in the spotlight was my favorite episode. Next positive point was the opening song. Shararan was not the best opening song of this season, but it was definitely the most catchy one. Every week when that song began to play, you just couldn't help but feel happy. And to me, it always was the beginning of another great episode of this anime. And my last positive point was the usage of Japanese mythology in this anime. Now, I am not completely sure if this is correct, since I tried to research some Japanese mythology, but I couldn't find a direct link with some of the characters in Flying Witch, like the Harbinger of Spring, or that flying whale that appears later in the anime. Now, if Flying Witch inspired their mythological characters on real Japanese mythological characters, then that is another impressive thing of this anime. And if they didn't and created these characters themselves, then that is equally impressive. Now, if you're searching for an anime that will mesmerize you with a great and intriguing storyline, then you shouldn't watch Flying Witch. Because literally nothing happens in this anime. This is an anime for the true slice of life lovers like me, who don't need an exciting and action-packed storyline to really enjoy an anime. There is no overall storyline in Flying Witch, but since this was a completely episodical anime, that was no problem to me. I got my enjoyment out of the slice of life factor. But if you're not a slice of life fan and you want your anime to have an overall storyline, then Flying Witch will be extremely boring to you. Now, I didn't have a problem with the absence of an overall storyline, but it was a bit of a shame that there was no development in the multiple small storylines. In the anime, we get quite a lot of small storylines, like Makoto training her witch skills, Chinatsu who wants to become a witch, the story of Inukai, and none of them really develops in this anime. There's also no conclusion for any of them. Flying Witch is not an anime that starts at point A and ends at point B. It almost feels like we just jumped into the characters' daily lives, watched them for a while, and then left again without waiting for certain events to conclude. So as a conclusion, as I said at the beginning of the review, if you took relaxation and poured it into an anime, you would get Flying Witch. I really enjoyed this anime, and I'm going to rate Flying Witch at 4 out of 5 stars, with the extra stamp of GV's Anime of the Season Spring 2016. This is an anime that I am missing right now, although this season it's replaced by another one, being Amamato Inazuma, because that is so kawaii. Other animes that I recommend watching are Amamato Inazuma, despite it not being finished when I do this review. One Week Friends, which is another very relaxing anime that implements romance into its storyline. But my best recommendation is Usagi Drop, which is Flying Witch on kawaii steroids. I gave it a 5-star rating and it is still the best anime I saw this entire year. And with that I conclude my review of Flying Witch. As usual, you can find the full list of all my animes and reviews over at Anime Planet. As usual, I will put a link in the description box down below. Now, if you want me to review a particular anime from this list, please put it in the comments. Also, if you have a recommendation for me, put them in the comments as well. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, visit me on Facebook and subscribe to this channel for more reviews in the future. I will say arigatou gozaimasu and I will see you all in the next video.